Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of
Jannah.
Here in the UK, Shamima Begum is hitting the headlines yet again. Why? Because she has lost her appeal at regaining her citizenship, which has been rejected. This has now rendered her stateless, and it has promoted debates as to whether she should be allowed or not allowed. Now this is very important to us because when laws get passed, when certain precedents get set, yes, they get set when it comes to extreme and polarizing figures. However, when those figures wither away or go away, the laws still remain and become standard for the rest of us. So whilst a lot of us get stuck in the media frenzy and yeah, that person's bad, very few of us actually look at what it actually entails once that person goes. And this is what's interesting, because a lot of Muslims here in the West not only go with the mainstream narrative, but we actively promote the mainstream narrative and make it known to others
that we are following the mainstream narrative, mate.
And openly we usually comments like, I'm a Muslim, but I don't think she should be allowed back. And this typically is because these people want to be seen as loyal to the country. But most often than not, this does not work out for us, mate. Yeah, because that's not loyalty to the country. That's just loyalty to that particular ideal. When it's another ideal that eventually you're not going to be happy with, you're still going to end up being called a brownie and being told to go back to his country. So why not live a principled life? You can be grateful to the country and what it offers, but you can also disagree with stuff that goes against logic, common sense, morality, whatever you want, your religion, your culture, whatever. You should be able to give your opinion without the fear of being called
anti-national.
But anyway, let's deal with the facts here. She was 15. Oh yes, she was 15 and she was groomed by ISIS. Now this is very important, mate. She's clearly underage and she should not be held liable. If she is, again, what sort of precedent does that set? In addition, the Canadian Secret Services were the ones that smuggled her into Syria. And a few days later, the Brits were aware of this. But again, it didn't come out. Nothing really happened or transpired. This is actually quite significant. Western services are facilitating this. And when it's facilitated, that person is then being condemned. What about the Secret Services? What about them? And let's look at another case study. You might be thinking, no, it would happen to everyone. Well, another 15-year-old. This one was a white girl called Rhiannon Rudd. She was radicalized by the far right, but she didn't have to go through all this, mate.
But that she's lost her passport. If she was white and she was called Sharon from Manchester and she'd done something like that, it wouldn't even occur to the government to take the passport off somebody who was obviously British. So I'm deeply uncomfortable about the lack of the ability for rehabilitation and repentance. So that should, if we are a Christian country, we should do that. And then secondly, I think the way we treat people from non-white backgrounds, should we say, in the UK, this is a reminder, an extreme one, that we aren't all equal and that some people's citizenship apparently isn't as secure as others.
This guy speaks facts, mate. He speaks the truth. And also, guys, some of you have been following the Andrew Tate case as well. Andrew Tate has been accused of trafficking women. These women have come forward and said, no, we weren't trafficked. But they said, no, the mainstream narrative is wrong. It's incorrect. Lo and behold, the courts say, no, we're not going to take what you're saying because you've been brainwashed, mate. So adults here are brainwashed and even the courts are jumping in and going, no, we can't take what you're saying. But there, people are quoting, yeah, Shamima Begum said this and she said that. But she was a kid, mate. So Andrew Tate can brainwash adult women, but ISIS can't brainwash little kids.
If this was Andrew Tate that was behind this, we'd be going, this is appalling, right? This is he's convinced this woman that she should be a victim and a housewife in an Islamic state. But because we don't know who's behind it, somehow it all becomes her fault.
That's when she becomes punished.
Right.
And in the end, Sajid Javid, the token brown guy in the Conservative Party, there's a risk to national security or whatever nonsense. And in the end, that's what the courts went with. Bear in mind, He wanted to ingratiate himself with the Conservative Party because he wanted to become its leader. And as a person of colour, sometimes you get scapegoated and used, so people can't say, look at these white people trying to do this to us brown people, mate. Yeah? So they just used and abused, and now where is he? He's shining his head in some salon in the middle of God knows where, mate. And like I mentioned at the start, Shamima Begum was rejected by Bangladesh because she never even bloody went there, mate. So she has been rendered stateless, which is illegal according to international law. So those people that say, trust in the system, yeah, the system comes through. Well, the system's saying that kids can be treated as adults. The system's trying to tell us that Andrew Tate can brainwash people, but ISIS can't. The system is clearly being prejudiced towards people of colour and of certain religious identities. Is this the system that really deserves our trust, or is this a system that deserves critique and reformation? I'll leave that to you guys. Let's leave it there until next time. Assalamu alaikum.